Hey there, everybody. Franklin Taggart here. It's time for a virtual coffee break. This is, I think this is the first one that I've done in February 2023. After doing a podcast episode every day of last year, I've taken quite a bit of time off, and I've only released a few episodes since the beginning of 2023. And it's been good to take some time away, I have to say. There are a lot of things going on right now, and you're going to be hearing from me about artificial intelligence more and more, because I'm intrigued by the whole thing, and my curiosity has been piqued, and I've been doing a lot of research in that area. So get ready for that kind of stuff to be going on. But I also wanted to talk today a little bit about something that has come up twice in the last month or so. The other day I was talking with a friend, and one of the things that we were talking about was I just asked her the question, well, what do you want? And she said, right now, that doesn't seem to be the right question to ask me. She says, the question that I have going on right now is, how do I want? And we talked a lot about that because she's been in the position, her youngest of 4 children just graduated from high school, or is getting ready to graduate from high school. And she has been, for 22 years now, going on 23 years, it has been in reaction and response mode pretty much every day from the time that she gets up until the time that she goes to bed. The entire day is consumed by taking care of other people's needs. And she said, I haven't had a problem with that. She said, it's just been a part of the deal for me, and I have not been, she said, I haven't been unhappy being in that role, and helping other people is something that I do quite naturally. But when it comes to knowing what I want, she said, it feels like that I haven't known that for a very long time. And I've almost forgotten how to want, or how to identify my own desires in the mix with everybody else, and all of the things that they need, and all of the things that they ask for, and all of the things that they want. And so we talked about the concept of that, we are creatures of habit, and there are some metaphors that I like to throw around at times like this. And one of them is that if you don't exercise your physical muscles for a long period of time, they start to break down, and your body gets weaker. And in this case, we talked about, what does the want muscle look like? What does the want muscle, where does that live for you? And as we talked, we came up with the idea that, for her, she has been kind of setting that aside for so long that she's kind of forgotten about how to use it. And I said, well, let's take an extreme situation. If you were in an extreme situation and you had to choose between 2 things, how would you decide between the 2? And she said, well, probably between which one was the most urgent. And I said, well, why don't we start there? Which, if we were to look at the choices between 2 options for you right now in your life, as you start to open the next chapter, are there any things that really feel urgent to you? Are there things that you've put off in your past that there is a sense of time is kind of, it's not winding down, but it's not running out, but it is passing the halfway point, and we're aware of that. Is there anything that feels more urgent right now? And as she started to think about that, there were a few things that she had remembered that she had wanted to do at one point or another in her life, and they had been forgotten largely. And I said, let's look at those. And it's like, as you start to think about those different activities that you've set aside, where do you feel the urgency in your body? And as she started to feel the urgency in her body, she noticed that the sensations were coming mostly from her chest and her solar plexus area. And I said, okay, maybe that's something for us to learn about. Your chest and your solar plexus are activated by that desire, right? And so what if it's something that's not quite so urgent? Let's talk about that. Like, let's just talk about if you're out to dinner and you're trying to decide between 2 or 3 things on the menu for dinner. What is it what are the cues that you look for to make your decision there? And she said, interestingly enough, I will very often override what I want because my husband, what he wants sounds better. And I said, okay. Are you usually satisfied with that decision? And she said, most of the time, yes. And I said, have you ever overridden that decision and went ahead with the desire that you had rather than going along with what he ordered? And she said, I don't do that often. And I said, well, what if you were to give that a try? The other thing to pay attention to is, again, when you have that desire, where do you feel that desire in your body? And again, we came back down to the solar plexus, that she had some kind of a shift in the way that she felt in her solar plexus and down into her abdomen when she saw something that she wanted on the menu. And then when her husband would decide for himself, she would then override what she had wanted to get what he had ordered because that sounded good, or because it just made the decision easier for her. So the thing that we looked at was, what are those muscles that are associated? What sensations happen in your body that are related to what you want? And how can we become more in tune with those things again and start to give them more weight than the influence of other people? And that is something that I think a lot of folks who have been taking care of others for a long period of time may find that they need to do, is that they need to rediscover not what they want, but how they want. How do they tell that they want something? If this is something that you struggle with, if this is a place that you are in your life, I would welcome a call. There's nothing here to be ashamed of. I mean, like I said, we're creatures of habit, and our habits form so that life runs somewhat more efficiently. There's nothing wrong with any of it. But if we're trying to regain something that we've set aside or overridden for a long period of time, maybe there's a learning curve. Maybe there's something that we have to relearn. But it's just like working out. Like, I haven't been a faithful exerciser for quite a long time, with the exception of walking every day. And this year I realized, I really need to move my body, and I really need to give it more of a workout in order for my muscles to work correctly. And last summer, when I took the fall that I talked about, that was a wake-up call. It's like my core strength can't even make sure that I make it around the block safely. That was a wake-up call, and I have to start exercising those muscles again. And what's been really interesting is that it hasn't taken long for them to come back on board. It's only been just over a month of doing some daily yoga and exercise routines that give my muscles more of a workout than they've seen in a while. And they're already responding favorably, and I'm already feeling stronger, and I'm already getting more energy from the result. This is no different as you start to recognize your own desires and the way that they operate within your body and within your being. You're going to start to see the muscles improve, and you're going to start to feel much more confident in your decision making, and you're going to start to feel much more clear about what you want and what's next for you. So those are the things that are on my mind today. I hope that everything is going well for you in your world. Again, I'm not going to make any promises about how often I'm going to be around. I'm going to be trying to get back to my weekly interview schedule again now that we're halfway through February, more than halfway through February. But I do appreciate your listening, your time, and your attention. Greatest assets that you've got, and that you've spent any of them with me, is a great honor. So I hope everything is well for you, and I'll talk to you again soon. So long.